Rhythm Rock Live, we're on location tonight in the NWA Ruthless Studios, here to talk to NWA and Eazy-E, probably the most controversial rap group in Los Angeles.
At that time, all the rappers were claiming their hometowns, South Bronx, you know, wherever they may be, New York, Queens, whatever the case may be. We were from Compton.
Coming up in the ghetto, period, builds character to me. You know what I'm saying? It definitely can build character if you use it in a positive way.
When we seen, you know, regular homies from the neighborhood that was just putting down real street raps, you know, it made us feel like we could do it.
Something really special was coming out of that neighborhood. It was a fresh, really volatile time in music. I liken it to Elvis Presley when rock and roll started, to when the Beatles came. It was something really special coming out of there.
After a while, Michael Jackson didn't work. People didn't believe the hype. We didn't care. We didn't care. If they didn't feel it, with all of that trying to be shy nonsense, people weren't checking for that no more. Rap made it gritty.
I think we're successful because we're telling it like it is, and you know, that's what people want to hear because they're sick of hearing about fairy tales and stuff like that.
NWA to me was like anti-establishment.
They was bringing, you know, South Central to the forefront and what was happening, and you know, drugs and the whole shot. I mean, they was hitting another element of society that nobody else had touched on.
They talked about being gangsters. Gangster was a big hit. Fuck the Police was a big hit.
It's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
When I went and got NWA albums, I bought them as a fan.
You just see an all-star cast of people. Eazy being the mastermind, Q being the rhyme writer, Dre laying down the tracks, the producer, and then you had Ren who played a supporting cast. And that just made up one of the great groups of hip-hop.
We don't tell you what to do and we'll tell you what not to do. You got your own freedom of choice.
Eazy represented, you know, the hardcore little gangster on the corner.
Don't try to hold us back because this record has cursing on it, or it said something, or you talking about raping somebody and everything.
People were selling cocaine, making a lot of money, and he was the first person that actually came out and admitted it and boasted about it on a record.
It's bullshit.
Eazy-E turned out to have some business savvy.
Eazy was a local crack slinger, okay? He made him some money, and because I was one of the few guys he knew had a studio, he wanted to get with me and get in the studio. He was not intended to be a rapper. He was going to be a financier.
Dre was producing for Lonzo, a Crew Cut Records, and the Wrecking Crew.
Dre started getting in trouble. He was going to jail for warrants on a regular basis. I'm digging in my pocket to get him out, okay? So I got to the point where I got tired of it.
And Lonzo didn't get him out of jail. Eazy got him out of jail.
When Eric got him out of jail, they cut a deal that Dre would do some tracks for Eric in my studio.
And then they hooked up and was boys ever since then.
You put the dot on your target, then you blow the shit out the motherfucker. No joke.
Eazy knew it was like a joke to him, okay? It was like, but he got so far into it, it was like, okay, I am this. I'm walking through the Carson Mall. I look up in the HQ, which is a sporting goods store and a gun store, and these guys are buying automatic, semi-automatic weapons to go on tour with. I'm like, shit, what kind of tour you guys going on, Vietnam or what?
They were selling out of the back of cars, and they were making money, and they were going to the top one way or the other.
We used to ride around in Eazy's Jeep all day and sell records to the, what they call swap meets out here.
We used to make people buy records.
How'd you make it buy it?
With a gun.
Eazy paid Lonzo to introduce him to Jerry Heller.
Jerry Heller was basically Dr. Dre and Eric Wright's manager and label head.
Ruthless started from Eazy-E. Eazy-E knew that Dre was a dope producer. He did the Straight Outta Compton album. He did Easy Does It. He did Michelle A's album. He did the Doc's album.
Dr. Dre was one of these guys that could take this raw street sound and turn it into the kind of magic that would hit to a wide audience of kids.
They had a message that clearly was heard and felt by young people.
All over the country, they had pockets of young brothers who sold dope and had to carry 9mm pistols, who had a lot of money that could relate.
Every kid wants something that's sort of forbidden. Certainly this kind of imagery was. In fact, they couldn't even hear it on their regular radio station.
They sold over 1 million albums. And we have to understand that with rap music, past 500,000, 600,000 albums, you go outside the black community.
You had little white kids out there that was, you know, grew up in Pop's Country Club, and they wasn't having it. They wanted to hear NWA.
It became clear that there weren't just 10,000 kids listening to this. There was hundreds of thousands in each city.
People sat back and seen an album that sold 1 million units that was never played on radio. And I had to question myself, how does this happen? How did this happen? What went on here?
Now, when it starts making real money and it starts looking like some success is going to come about, that's when the shit starts.
Easy and Jerry wasn't paying Dr. Dre enough money.
At that time, I was owed money, but they wasn't paying it. You know what I'm saying? I think they were trying to starve me out. As hard as you work for your money, there's at least 2 or 3 people out there working just as hard to get it from you.
I was there when Dre told me he would sell his soul to the devil for $1 million. And I swear right now, devil got to have a receipt for his ass.
Suge Knight was always around. He was around in the days of NWA. I never noticed who he was.
Suge was just a big kid. You know, he was really at that time totally nobody.
Suge Knight was a bodyguard, bodyguarding Bobby Brown. Being a bodyguard is probably one of the best music industry schools that you could go to, because you're going to learn everything about the business.
I was out there looking and learning, you know, and I seen the different people complain. I seen artists. I seen people trying to be artists. I see people talk about songs, and I'm just listening. I'm hearing it all.
He was an aggressive person that cleared the way for me to go in and do what I had to do, you know, by any means necessary.
Suge was a leader. He was a winner. He was smart. He kind of reminded me of a hip-hop Dick Griffey.
In the 1980s, Solar was probably the most successful black-owned record label in America. Dick Griffey, who was the founder of the company, was one of those men who had the rare ability, I think, to identify talent in people.
What I'm interested in is really teaching young people how to be in business for themselves.
Suge first came to see Dick because he was managing a young guy named Mario Johnson, PKA Chocolate, who had written a number of songs on a Vanilla Ice album.
I did all of his songs at his kitchen table at his house. Me and Quake would do tracks, and I would go to his house and write, give him songs, and he would learn them.
He had gotten some credit on the album, but they hadn't paid him. It wouldn't return his phone calls.
I couldn't get in contact with him, but the record wasn't doing anything at that time, and then when the video hit BET is when the record started taking off.
The thing happened so fast and it blew up so quick, the first thing they wanted to do is tell me, look, we'll give you a couple of dollars, we'll let bygones be bygones. I wasn't going for it.
Suge came to me at the Palm restaurant first and just sat down and said hello. He was kind of nice, you know. It kind of scared us because he was really intimidating. You know, he had like 6 or 7 guys with him that looked like a football team.
We already knew where he was staying because I was supposed to be hearing some tracks that he was doing. But for some reason, they wanted me to just come by myself. You know what I'm saying? The shit was like, why they just want you to go by yourself? They already didn't try to beat you out of money. They didn't beat you out of songs. I'm going with you.
Their whole attitude probably was, look, we're just going to go in there and tell him we're going to do it like this and give him a check, and he's going to shut up. I had a different program when we met.
One day I went into my hotel room, and he was in there, and he's with several people, and then he let me know what he wanted, and he wanted to get some points off the record, Ice Ice Baby.
I'm like, look, you can't give me nothing. It's what I'm going to give you because you didn't get the rights to put it out there because I haven't got paid and my client haven't got paid.
I remember watching Primetime Live, the interview with Vanilla Ice.
Suge took me out on the balcony, started talking to me personally. He had me look over the edge, show me how high I was up there.
You scared?
I needed to wear a diaper on that day.
He didn't, first of all, hang me off from any balcony or any of this stuff. Okay, the story's been kind of blown out of proportion, and I want to clarify right now that Suge and I have no bad feelings or anything towards each other.
We had to sue EMI and Winkle to recover that money.
And it was more than a year in the settlement of that lawsuit that Chocolate finally got paid. Doesn't mean he didn't get hung over the balcony, but if he did, it didn't make him go pay.
You can look at it like I was an investor in Death Row Records with no return on my money.
Suge said, well, you know, I got some other clients who also have written songs and produced records, and they haven't been paid either.
He shows up on my doorstep with these two guys called Doc and Dre. Doc was the storyteller. The DOC was the guy that came up with those great stories. He was probably the single most influential person in gangster rap.
Dre basically made Ruthless Records. I mean, you know, he did the music. He probably the one who, you know, knew how to work with the artists. And it must have been him and Eazy's company together. And then when Eazy met Jerry, Jerry came in and ex Dre out and say, you know, Ag, I give you a little bit more money. We just use Dre basically as a slave.
They had the worst contracts I'd ever seen in the history of the record business. The contracts that Ruthless and Jerry Heller had with NWA and Dre, I guess if I said draconian, that would be a kind word.
In the process of having a number of conversations with Doc and Dre, the question came up about how can we be assured that we're going to get paid in the future? Dick said, look, Dre, if you can make records the way you make records, I'll show you how to start a company. You won't have to worry about people paying you. You'll have a company that you own and control.